Hello everyone, I am Jay Wengrow and welcome to Think Like a Software Engineer, Episode 11. In the previous episode, I began teaching myself the programming language Rust. This video went a little long, so I had to split it up into two videos. This video is the second half, so let's go ahead and continue our journey in learning Rust. Adding dependencies. Let's add a dependency to our application. You can find all sorts of libraries on crates.io, the package registry for Rust. In Rust, we often refer to packages as crates. So what packages are basically additional source code that you can download that other people wrote and include it into the program that you're writing. So then it says in this project, we'll use a crate called Ferris Says. In our cargo.toml file, we'll add this information that we got from the crate page. So, so where does this go? It doesn't tell me exactly, but I can guess that it goes here, and I probably don't want to duplicate that. So it's basically telling me to put this line, Ferris Says, under this dependencies header that we see here on line 7. So let's go back to our webpage. Now we can run cargo build. So let's try that. Now it doesn't tell me where to run it, but I understand as a software engineer that they intend for me to run that in my terminal. And now it says stuff. This is basically downloading this Ferris crate from the internet. That's what's going on over here. Okay, so it finished downloading. And it says, and cargo will install our dependency for us. You'll see that running this command created a new file for us, cargo.lock. Let's look at that in Sublime. Indeed, we now have a cargo.lock file, which has lots of nice gobbledygook inside of it. And it says this file is a log of the exact versions of the dependencies we are using locally. To use this dependency, we can open our main.rs file, remove everything that's in there, and add this line to it. So let's try that. Go back to our main.rs file, remove everything that's in there as commanded. Put this in here, which I don't know exactly what all that means, but it seems like that is the code to allow us to use the Ferris package that we downloaded. And this line means that we can now use the save function that the Ferris Says create exports for us. A small Rust application. Now let's write a small application with our new dependency. In our main.rs, add the following code. So this first line here we already have, so we're just going to add this. And here we go. Note again that this is how a software engineer learns a new language. I'm not even going to analyze all this code that I just wrote. I'm just going to follow this tutorial and start there. And then afterwards I can try to read the code, modify it, play around with it, see what happens. In the meantime, I'm just going to copy and paste this code here. Once we save that, we can run our application by typing cargo run. So let's clear up this screen. Cargo run. And hello, fellow Rustaceans. I guess that is what people who use Rust are called. And we have a Rustacean there. Or it might just be a crab. So assuming everything went well, you should see this. And here we have it. We created our first Rust application, even though I didn't and still don't know exactly what I'm doing. Learn more. You're a Rustacean now. Welcome. We're so glad to have you. When you're ready, hop over to our Learn page, where you can find lots of books that will help you continue on your Rust adventure. And then it talks about the crab Ferris. So Ferris apparently is the mascot for the Rust programming language. Yes, programming languages can have mascots. So there is this Learn More button, which brings us here. There's different resources to learn Rust. We can see do the Rustlings course, read the book, check out Rust by example. These are probably all great resources. In the meantime, before I do that, I'm just going to look at what I have here, see if there's anything I could play around with. So here on line 6, we see this phrase, hello fellow Rustaceans. In the terminal, we see hello fellow Rustaceans here. Presumably, if I change this to something else, say hello from Ferris, and run it. Now when I run the program again, we have a new output, hello from Ferris. So that's an easy way to play around with it. Another thing we could look at is, here I see on line 7, let width is 24. So I'd be curious to know what happens. What happens if we change that number to, let's say, 50? Will we see a different result? And we do see a different result. This header has a greater width. So apparently this width variable on line 7 determines the width of that header. Lines 9 and 10 are a little bit difficult for me to figure out how I would sort of hack around with it. But these are just a few examples of how you could start playing around with code without really knowing much about it. So I hope this gave you a sense of how a software engineer might approach learning a new programming language. Obviously, every software engineer might do it a little differently, but a common technique is just jumping into it. Follow some tutorial. Generally, starting with the tutorial on the official language website is probably a good choice, and just running with it. Just start it, see what happens, play around with it, and that makes for an excellent starting point. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.